You know what I like more than an inconsistent upload schedule? Anime. Manga. Two of the most extraordinary things ever created, right next to the number 7 and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Nothing else. Nothing else is more excellent than those 4 things. Jokes aside, since quarantine started, I have been getting back into watching anime and reading manga. Before quarantine, I limited myself to only 2 anime because when I was younger, I would watch a shit ton of shows and never finish anything. So I would only watch 2 of the greatest shows ever made, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Dragon Ball Z Kai. Or Super, depending on how I felt. But nah, I'm just joking. They're not the greatest shows ever. Nothing could ever hold the title of best show. Nothing at all. But since quarantine started, I had a lot of free time on my hands. Like, a lot. So I started watching a lot of anime, and then I caught up with those animes. And then life sucked. But then I remembered, oh, manga exists. So I started reading a shit ton of manga, and then I grew to Giga Chad levels. So high levels that when I would talk about manga with my friends, they would say outrageous things like, I need to get bitches on my dick. Like, have these bitches sold over 4 million copies of the simp who could turn into a chainsaw? I don't think so.
This is a cry for help, please. I need to get bitches on.
Enough of that, let's get into the meat of this video, the sauce. I want to talk about manga with you, and this video will be sort of my thoughts on these mangas, as well as a way for me to get you all to read this stuff. And these are some pretty new mangas, so they're coming out as we speak, so there's not much to catch up on. So, let's grab our popcorn, grab our soda pop, and get comfy in a nice chair, because we're going to talk about some good shit. It is manga with only a few chapters. If you like music and you like anime, then this is a good story for you. You follow one of the children of a 7-child family with a loving household and parents. They are born in this family of musical geniuses. Think of Gordon Ramsay, but with the piano, and you guessed it, he treats his children just like his cooks. Absolute dog shit. Precisely when it comes to one of the children named Lucky, the protagonist of the story. The funny thing is he's only lucky in name because everything else he's absolute dog shit in. The story follows Lucky a few years after his parents' divorce. His mother is in the hospital because, you know, giving birth to 7 children kind of fucks up the body. Lucky lives with his aunt and cousin, who are pretty much like the family Harry Potter lived in within the hit movie series. What's the name of it again? Ah, that's what it's called. Anyway, Lucky is very mediocre at playing the piano. He's actually atrocious at it, but he still has a passion for playing. He likes to play the piano for his mom while she sleeps in the hospital, and gets caught off guard when talking about music or the piano in general. The thing I really enjoyed about this manga was how mundane it was. While doing some research on the series to see the meaning of the name, I found a Reddit post that summed up the manga's opening chapter as being mediocre by intention. Since Lucky is considered mediocre throughout his life, the manga creator tries to push that with the storytelling, and I really like that interpretation of the story. So I hope you see it that way too, or you see some semblance of that if you decide to start reading this manga. There are only about 3 or 4 chapters out so far, so I highly recommend giving it a read.
I'm a bird.
Shojinx. Shojinx is an excellent manga made by the same guy who did the story about the people who are gay that eat each other. I don't know, I've never seen Tokyo Ghoul, but don't sue me. I just trying to make a joke. I'm sorry. Anyway, Shojinx is a pretty good story. You got this guy who is a badass motherfucker who fights people harassing girls on the side of the road. He plays in practically every sport in the school and looks impressive as hell while doing it. Yeah, that's the best friend of the main character. The main character is like if you took Deku from My Hero Academia and made him into an e-boy. So he's like a worthless piece of shit, but he isn't a whiny, worthless piece of shit. The story of Shojinx is pretty simple, but goes a long way. So you have a normal society like the one you and I live in, but there are people called Shojinx, pretty much people with special abilities like X-Men or My Hero Academia's quirks, but there aren't many people with these abilities. You follow this kid named Tokyo and you see his average life change as he takes an injection to make himself into a Shojin. I would just like to say I wouldn't consider that a spoiler because it happens in the first chapter. There are about 7 or 8 chapters of this story as of recording this video, and it's fantastic. As I said before, I never read or watched Tokyo Ghoul, so seeing Sui Ishida's work for the first time was an excellent and eye-opening experience to the lovely work that they put into the story. There are times I'll be reading the manga and I'll just sit there and stare at the pages because the artwork is just so beautiful. So if you like Sui Ishida's work, then check this out. Hey you, do you like fantasy and world building? Do you like beefy women who could beat the shit out of you? Well, here is the Hunters Guild Red Hood. I'm just going to refer to it as Red Hood from here on. Red Hood is a pretty good story. It follows a young boy named Velo who grew up without parents, and this friendly little hamlet he lived in pretty much raised him. Many disappearances have been happening, and the mayor calls in for a hunter from the Hunters Guild to take care of things. They find it is a werewolf attacking the hamlet. Werewolves are like the main monsters of the world, and the rest of the story follows Velo and how he decides to join the Hunters Guild to kill werewolves for what they did to the people closest to him. I don't want to get too far into details because it's a pretty good read. There are about 13 chapters out as of recording this video, and the pacing of the story is breakneck. One second they're fighting werewolves, the next they're going to the Hunters Guild. So if you enjoy stories that get into the meat of the story and setting faster than those slow burn type series, I highly recommend this one. It also has an engaging art style. I've never heard of Yuki Kawaguchi. I hope I'm saying his name correctly, or her name. I'm not entirely sure who this person is. This is the first time that I'm hearing about them, and their artwork is absolutely fantastic for this type of setting and story. There's just a bunch of shots that the panels blend in with each other, and there's just the way that they frame everything is honestly really nice. So I highly recommend you give this story a read. Well, that's about all I wanted to share. This is a different kind of video that I've been working on for a really long time, and it should have came out a lot sooner because if you know any of these stories that I mention in this video, you should know Hunters Guild Red Hood was cancelled, unfortunately, as well as PPP, however you pronounce the name, is on its like 16th chapter now, and Shojinx is on its 15th. So I am a little late in this video, but I still wanted to talk about the stuff in this video. Like, I didn't really preface much on the chapters because it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to introduce these stories to you guys. I might make another video like this in the future. There have been a few new mangas that have come out recently that I've been really dying to talk about, so I might make a part 2 to this video, who knows. But this is kind of also a test to put my hat in the ring for a little bit more anime content because I've been consuming this media a lot recently. So if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you're new, please subscribe. You know the whole deal. And please leave feedback. Criticism is the best way for me to grow and change, and I hope that I can learn a lot from making this video. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.